Welcome back to My Block Jags. I am Denaro Scurry. And lately I've been hearing a lot of chatter about Leonard Fournette. Should we trade him? His fifth-year option is coming up. Should we keep him to the fifth-year option? As far as trading him, I don't think that's a good idea. Since he's been on the team, he's been solid for us. That's one of the players, one of the positions that's been solid. He had a hiccup his second year in the league, but as far as his rookie and last year, which is his third year, he played very well. Last year he had 1,100 yards rushing with 76 receptions, led the team in receptions, and 500 yards receiving. 3 rushing touchdowns, no receiving touchdowns last year. But he played well, and that was one of the bright spots on our offense with the rookie quarterback. We knew that when Fournette gets the ball, he was going to play. He was going to show up to play. He had a couple games over 150, and I think he had a game over 200. So it was never a spot on the. He was never the guy that we were always worrying about as far with receiving, tight end, even offensive line. We had our question marks on. But last year, Fournette was never the guy that we were concerned about. Is he going to show up? How is he doing? Is he going to fall off? Because once the season started, he was rolling as if this was his rookie year. And I think with his sophomore year, how bad it looked. Him getting hurt, him not being healthy and not physically ready for the season, him not training right. I think that he's got a new mind state, and coming in the third year, which was last year, coming in, let me come in healthy, let me come in tip-top shape, let me get everything clear. I know he went to Wyoming to work out, you know what I'm saying, to get his body right and trained. So obviously that worked for us. Since we drafted him the first round with the 4th pick in 2017, he's been solid. I'm not gonna say he's always showed up, but he's been solid. He's 2 years, he had 1,000 yards. His sophomore year only had 400. That's when he got hurt. The nagging hamstring injury kept him out for 7 weeks. And then he also got suspended 1 week. We remember the fight in Buffalo where, of course, he ran from one sideline to the next to fight somebody. Of course, he got suspended for that. And that was that. But since then, it looks like he's got over all those little tidbits and small issues that he was dealing with. I think a lot of people here, personally, who don't like Fournette they're in their feelings about certain things. When it comes to the Cole Coughlin situation, Coughlin fined him for sitting on the sideline the last game of the season. He was sitting down on the bench. Coughlin fined him. A lot of people love Coughlin, so whatever Coughlin says is gold. If Coughlin said it, that means it must be true. I gotta abide by it. I'm gonna ride with Coughlin. And Coughlin put out the thing saying he didn't like the fact that him and Yeldon was sitting on the bench. Yeldon was dressed. Yeldon was ready to play that game. He should have been on the sideline standing with the players. Fournette wasn't dressed out. He wasn't active for the game. It wasn't that big of a deal for him to be sitting down since he wasn't active. But Coughlin felt like it was a big deal. A lot of the announcers and the people on the radio, and of course the fans, they felt like it was a big deal. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So a lot of people take that personally, and they get in their feelings, get all emotional about that, or certain things there are certain things that he does and posts on social media. They take a lot of these little things as too personal, in my opinion, to where now they're like, oh, he's a cancer, he's a bad person, he's a bad person in the locker room, he's this, he's that. And it's like, come on, man. Like, he's still a young kid. I think he's only like 22, 23. He's still young. I mean, young people do stuff that we don't agree with or that we wouldn't do, but that don't mean you just throw him out with the bathwater. I mean, come on now. I know he did get arrested for driving with a suspended license right before the season started. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, it happens, I guess. I don't know. But outside of those little things, I don't think that's enough to trade him. It's a whole bunch of little small things that really mean nothing. Social media or whatever with Coughlin. Coughlin's trying to take his money away and he got it back, and people still felt some type of way about that. So trading him, I don't think that's a good idea. When it comes to his 5th-year option, what should the Jaguars do with that? Should they sign it? Should they not? I personally think they should sign his 5th-year option, only because that's a solid back that we're going to keep here in Jacksonville. That's a solid piece we're going to keep. I don't think letting him go and restarting all over again with another running back, trying to get the same production that we already have, makes sense. I don't think we should go in the draft, because we're not going to draft another running back in the first round. So I don't think going in the draft next year, this upcoming draft, or 2 years from now, we should go and say, let's go draft another Leonard Fournette that gives us the same production, only because he's cheaper. Like, we're just constantly, that's going to be a constant rotational door, trying to replace talent that we already have, because we just don't want to pay them. Like, you got to pay these guys when you draft them. You got to pay the talent that you have on your team. His 5th-year option is, I think, a little bit over $10 million, which isn't, it's, running back market is weird when it comes to the contracts. The franchise tag for running Derrick Henry was, I think, a little bit over $10 million. The 5th-year option for Leonard Fournette is a little bit over $10 million. But there's only 3 running backs in the league, or it was only 3 running backs in the league last year that got paid over $10 million. You had Le'Veon Bell in New York. You had Todd Gurley in L.A. Then you had David Johnson in Arizona. Todd Gurley got cut. Le'Veon Bell looks overpaid because the Jets just have a horrible offense, don't have an offensive line. And then David Johnson definitely looks overpaid. He looks overpaid. He hasn't done nothing since he got his contract. The last 2 years, he hasn't done nothing. So it's weird how the franchise tag is $10 million. The 5th-year option is $10 million. But then when you look at how many players are getting $10 million, it's not many. But I do think we should sign his 5th-year option, so that way we keep him here, keep him locked down in Jacksonville. We can continue to build the offense, continue to build the offensive line, so that way he can flourish. That way he can do what he can do what we see him do year after year. Since he's been here, 2,600 yards, 2,631 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns. Now, before he got here, we had a handful of running backs. None of them even got close to 1,000 yards. The year before, 2016, we had Chris Ivory, 439 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. We had Yeldon, his rookie year. He had 740 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. 2014, we had Toby Gerhart. We spent a good little money on him, bringing him here. We had Toby Gerhart and Denard Robinson. Toby Gerhart had 326 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns. Denard Robinson had 582 yards rushing with 4 touchdowns. Together, they didn't even get 1,000 yards. They got 908 yards. MJD's last year, 2013, 803 yards, 5 touchdowns. 2012, MJD got hurt. Him and Rashad Jennings was running the ball. MJD had 414 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Rashad Jennings had 283. So since MJD in 2011, MJD led the league in rushing with 1,606 yards, 8 touchdowns, and made the Pro Bowl. He was the NFL rushing leader. Since then, we haven't had a solid running back. And I don't think letting Fournette walk or not signing his 5th-year option or trying to get rid of him makes any sense for the team as moving forward. We want to get back to winning games. We want to get back to having talent on the field. We want to get back to letting the talent do what we want them to do, what we need them to do. 2017, everything hit for us. Running backs were making moves. Fournette was making moves. He was running the ball well. You had Bortles. Even Bortles even though he was up and down, he had games where he played well. The receivers were playing well. Defense was playing well. That's what we're trying to get back to. We're trying to get back to winning games. And I don't think letting Fournette walk will make sense for us in the future when we're trying to win games. We're trying to capitalize. We're trying to put pieces around Gardner Minshew so he can thrive in his offense and make the Jaguars a better team than what we were. When you're trying to win games and you're trying to establish yourself as a threat in the NFL or in the AFC South, you have to keep the pieces. You have to keep the talent that's on the team, that's on the field. And you have to keep these guys around so you can build off of them. And I feel like Fournette is a big piece for us. So trading him or releasing him is just plain stupid. But trading him for picks so we can draft another player like Fournette makes no sense. In my opinion, my personal opinion, makes no sense. I feel like we should keep him. I feel like we should build off him and our offense, strengthen our offensive line so that way he can have better holes, so that way he's not dodging people in the backfield, so he can make things happen. Let me know what you guys think. Just leave a comment. Hit me up on Twitter, That Boy Scurry on Twitter. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you guys think. All right, until next.